Hello students! I just want to go over the engineering design process in this lesson. So engineering design process is really a procedure used to solve a problem by creating a solution. So solving problems by creating original solutions. That's what it's all about. And there's many steps in the engineering design process. So I want to talk a little about those steps right now. The first thing in the engineering design process is going to be stating the problem. So we have to figure out what is the problem. You have to state the problem. Now, let's say for your plane project, I want you to think of a problem that you have when you're flying in an airplane. So are there any problems that you might have as a passenger on a commercial airliner? That would be the problem then. So you're going to come up with your own problem relating to flight on an airplane, commercial plane. All right? Or if you want to just think about a problem with airplanes today. So it doesn't have to be just your personal problem. It can be a problem with commercial air flight or airlines today. So think of a problem. Okay? And that's your first step in the engineering design process. So the engineering design process. Okay, this is a process used to solve a problem by creating an original solution. First step, we have to have a problem. If there's no problem, then there's no need to create a solution. So, great. You're going to state the problem. So when you state your problem, you're going to create what's called a problem statement. One sentence to describe the problem on commercial air flight that you experience as a passenger, or just a general problem with airlines or airplane industry, engineering, whatever. That's your problem. Then you're going to identify the need. This is really all involved in the first step. So why is your solution needed? Why do we need your solution? That's identifying the need. Then you also need to think about who the customer is. So who's your customer? Your customer might be airplane engineers, or it might be the passengers, or it might be the airlines themselves. State the problem, identify the need, identify the customer. Step one. Step two, identifying the criteria and the constraints. I apologize about Brutus, he's a little excited. We've been in a hotel for the last 2 days, and I'm just coming back to do the videos, and then we're going off to another hotel, so because we have to escape. We're in the evacuation order here. So criteria are like the requirements or the goals of the project. Or what does it need to be doing? Or what will it do? So criteria are like the requirements. Constraints are like the limitations. These are the restrictions. Usually it's time and money. So you could say one of your constraints is you only have 1 week to do this project. Money. You're not, hypothetically, if you're actually making an airplane, you would have to have some money. But when you're making your models, the models should not cost anything. I am not going to limit the money on this project though. Hypothetical money. So for your real plane, when you design it, obviously it's a design for a real plane. So we'll pretend that you have unlimited funds for this. Let's say Elon Musk, Bill Gates, they came in and contributed because they heard you guys are like rock star engineers here. Okay, so these are the 2 things you should know though about your project. The next thing, you're going to do some research. Now, just like the scientific method, these steps do not have to always be in this order. Obviously, though, you would start with a problem, and you'd have to identify the criteria and the constraints if you're going to solve the problem. So these would definitely happen in the introductory process of the engineering design process. Research. So this would be happening all along. You'd have to research your customer. You'd have to research the need for a solution to this problem. You'd have to research criteria and constraints. You'd have to do research in science, some scientific research. So research is going to be really done throughout this entire process. So I don't like to just put it in a separate step, but I just want to make sure you include it in there. Next step, brainstorming. Brainstorming is just really what it says it is. It's, if you think of ideas in your head, thoughts in your mind, like wild horses running around. Brainstorming, we don't want to put saddles on the horses. We don't want to domesticate them. We just want to record them, the wild horses. So we're not taming anything yet. Brainstorming, this is when you go wild with ideas. You use your imagination. Usually, brainstorming is a collaborative process. So you're working with your engineering team in brainstorming. This is when you don't want to domesticate, you don't want to tame the ideas. This is when you're going to just go wild and come up with anything that relates to the challenge. So if you're thinking of designing a better airplane, specifically some part of the plane or a service on the plane that could be improved, whatever your problem is, think of ways you could solve it and go wild. Like, use your imagination with this. What would you like to have on an airplane on your next flight? When you get on the plane, what would you like to be in that plane? All right? Maybe you can ride horses in the air. I don't know. Like, this is the time, though, to be using your imagination. So don't tame the ideas right now, especially brainstorming. And they don't have to be full sentences. Brainstorm, you can just put phrases, words, anything that comes to mind when I say, how are we going to improve your experience in an airplane? Anything. You would just write as much as you can. You can tame them out later. Taming happens later. Domestication's later. First, we just have to record the wild ideas. Let them go. All right, so brainstorming, and there's rules of brainstorming are to respect everybody's ideas. Do not shut down people's ideas. Do not laugh at anybody. If you start laughing at people's ideas, you right then and there are domesticating. You are taming the ideas. And if you keep doing that, pretty soon there won't be any ideas at all because you've shut everybody down. So we don't laugh, we don't ridicule. We encourage wild ideas here. After you've brainstormed, you are going to select one idea in the team. Okay, so you're going to come down, so you will pick one solution. Pick one solution. And how do we do that? There's a few ways we can do it, but we are going to be using what's called the decision matrix. So the decision matrix is a way of making a decision. It's a chance for everybody's voice to get heard instead of just a loud mouth. Because this is the challenge for introverts, it always is throughout life, is when you work with a team, sometimes the introverts, since they are obviously introverted, they are less likely to be promoting their ideas. They're less likely to sell their ideas. Less likely than an extrovert. An extrovert loves to sell their ideas all the time. That's all you do. That's all they do. I mean, that's all they do. They've got good ideas too, but those are the ones we usually hear from. This time, using a decision matrix allows all voices to be heard, introverts and extroverts. So the next thing, step 5, is coming up with a decision. Which idea are we going to use? And we use what's called a decision matrix.